Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing Rebecca with the co hosts of the Best Book Club podcast. So, if you didn't listen to the previous episode, please go back and listen to that first, and then we're going to continue on with this episode. Today, we're going to be getting into even more Rebecca. I really hope you guys like it. I don't have a whole lot of announcements up here in the front. I do want to say that I recently started reading The Taking of Jake Livingston. I guess I started reading it a couple weeks ago, but I was really getting into like the Spooktober feeling. So I highly recommend you guys read something that you haven't had a chance to, like that's been sitting on your TBR for a while. And maybe pick up a mood read. Read something fun. I don't know. Anything that you would like. Read something cool. But yeah, I don't have anything I really need to say. I will mention that I am doing nano sprints over on Twitch right now. So if you want to join in on the festivities and the fun, please go check me out on Twitch. I'm at Barely Bookish or twitch.tv/Barely Bookish, whichever works. But yeah, let's get into the episode. Chapter 5. So Van Hopper is questioning where she's been since she's not been at her bedside this entire time that she's had influenza. And she's like, "Oh, I've just been practicing tennis."
The whole time.
The whole time.
For weeks. It's been weeks.
Yeah, at this point it's been like 2 weeks that this has been going on. And, she's like, "Oh, tennis." And she's like, "I bet you still serve underhand because you're terrible at tennis."
Oh my God.
Which, like, Van Hopper just really has to, like, drag her any given moment. She's just, like, rub it in.
I mean, that would be fine, but I would ask for a raise.
Yeah.
Be like, cool, you can be an asshole, but, like, we're going to double up that wage.
Yeah, she's giving her, like, pennies on the hour.
Yeah.
If that.
Mhm.
So, they're still going, our main character and De Winter are still going for a drive every single morning and eating lunch together every day, which is cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's cute if he wasn't like a scary murder in my head.
Well, they don't really know anybody else, so.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, also they're in Monte Carlo, which I don't know that much about Monte Carlo except from the movie with Selena Gomez.
Don't know.
I also do not know.
It's the Selena Gomez movie. I think it's called Monte Carlo. I think that's the one where she is a princess and also not a princess, but they look identical and then they trade lives.
Oh my God.
Like every Disney Channel original.
Yeah. I've seen that movie, but just not that particular one.
Oh yeah, there's also like the Princess Recovery Project with Demi Lovato. That's the same plot line.
Oh God.
Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez are basically the same person inside of my head.
Yeah.
I think it's called someone else who was a Disney Channel kid. Let me know if I'm right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so then our main character keeps making really offhanded comments about like extremely hurtful offhanded comments, and she's like, "I wish I could just bottle up memories." And so I can relive them and they still have their same glow. And like she's saying that's next to a dude that literally lost his wife. And I'm sure he's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." What? And she's like 21. She's like, "This is just like a nice little drive that we're taking. Like, I wish I could just remember this forever."
I love when she drives past that kid.
Mm-hmm.
Just something about the way that whole scene was set up.
Mm-hmm.
It was creepy and I loved it.
Yeah.
And the whole reflection of, I mean, if I could relive this moment, even if we go back, it'll be different. And I thought it was very good writing.
Yeah, the foreshadowing, I'm sure, is just chef's kiss,
It's, yeah. It's really nice to reread. So when you finish it, I recommend reading it again.
It definitely feels like one of those books. So very excited about that. To like at the end be like, oh man. Like, oh, and then she fully point blank just brings up the fact that he lost his wife. Like, just, you know, it's like, hey, you know what's a great car ride conversation? Your dead wife.
I mean, may as well get it out of the way.
I know. It was the elephant in the room, and she's just like, oh, hey. Yeah, I know this is rough and trauma, but also.
Yeah, I love this whole scene, but my love for it was just the drama.
Yeah.
Like, because she's so young, she's like, yeah, the memories thing, and she's like, "Oh, why are you even hanging out with me? Like, why me? What about your dead wife?" And he's just like, what? Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, he loses his mind on her, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. And then he like talks about like pretending that his wife never existed. And it's like, you know, I get that stage of denial, like not stage of grieving, where it's like you can't even think about anything relating to them. So it's like, oof, you're still in that stage and now you're pursuing a romantic relationship. Like this is not going to go well. Like you're
Yeah.
basically just trying to rebound as quickly as possible to feel better, but this is going to be scary for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
No comment.
No comment. Beautiful. So he basically says that she's still the reason he's in Monte Carlo, and she's like, I need you to take me home. And I was like, so this is the time where this was a red flag for you. It wasn't when he almost drove you off a cliff. It's this moment, but okay. So she's crying, and then instead of saying anything, he kisses her on the hand and throws his handkerchief into her lap. And I was like, this is not like a good way to make people feel better.
I don't know. It is if you're in a black and white movie to me.
But I imagine him not being like nicely just like setting it. I just imagine him being like chuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like being like crying
I
in my
related to
leather.
this because, like, one of my best friends just having a really bad week.
Mm-hmm.
She comes to my work, sits down, and she's crying. And I'm just like, I put my hand out and I touched her. I was like, it's okay. Is this what you want from me? She's like going in for a hug. I'm like, oh, dude. Okay.
I am also not a hugger, so I feel this emotionally. Except I just like keep letting people do it. I'm like, I'm not a hugger, but I feel like every time I hug someone, it's so awkward, and I'm just like, where do I put my arms? You know, like.
If I had had a handkerchief, I probably would have thrown it at her.
Wadded up next to him. I want to imagine that the top's down on this convertible because it's obviously got to be convertible, right?
Obviously.
And like, so you're hoping that it's not going to get caught by the wind rushing by the top. So you like throw it out a little bit so that it goes back.
It comes back, hits her face.
Dry up those tears. All right, we got a party to go to. So after a while, he like pulls her to him, which I was like, oh, no seatbelts. And then says, and basically is like, hey, you may be young enough to be my daughter, but we talked this morning. Like, what we talked about this morning doesn't matter, so call me Maxim. I'm like, dude, what? Like, what?
Anytime somebody says, I mean, you're old enough to be my daughter, or young enough to be my daughter. That's not a great opener.
Yeah.
Or closer, I guess in this case is maybe leave it out.
Yeah, that, I mean, that's kind of like an unspoken thing. We all know it, you know, like you don't really need to emphasize the uncomfortableness that's happening, but you know, it's like in vampire novels where they're like, I'm 10,000 years old. But you beautiful teenager who has no experience of the world, you.
Yeah.
And we're like, we all know this is happening, but like, we just not, you know, stop telling us that you saw the downfall of the Roman Empire. Like, we know. We all know.
Yeah.
So then he just takes it a step further, takes his eyes fully off the road, kisses her head. And I'm like, okay. And then I guess he like actually kisses her, and I was like, I don't understand this relationship at all.
Are you her dad? Are you her boyfriend?
He's a reckless driver, is what he is.
Facts, facts.
Ugh,
I mean, the
Hold on one
cars probably
second.
only went 5 miles an hour, so.
Yeah, hold on
5
one
miles an
second.
hour too fast.
So then we're on to chapter 6. So our main character is packing up from the hotel, and I was like, oh, the first time I read this, I was like, oh, she is so terrified that she has to leave. No. Not what
No.
happened. Um and I wasn't sure where this was happening, if it was happening present day or if it was happening in her memories. But turns out Van Hopper's decided she's had enough of Monte Carlo and she's ready for New York City, baby. So she basically is like, we got 24 hours to pack up and go. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but it is what it is. So our main character realizes that she absolutely loves our main man Maxim, and she has no way to tell him because he is gone for the day. And of course, they don't have phones, I guess, because they only talk about letter. Wait, do they have phones?
Yes, because she tells her to go down to the front desk and call
Yeah,
about the train.
There
they
are
obviously don't have
phones,
cell
just not.
phones.
They're
Yeah.
not good phones.
Yeah. They have that car phone situation. Like, he's rich. He's got to have, like, if home phones are around, at what point do they get to the level of car phones? Because he seems like the kind of guy that has enough money, he'd have a car phone. Or he would think that that was people try to get a hold of him too much and he wouldn't have a car phone. I can't tell which one it would be.
When do they stop having like those cups on a string style
Yeah.
phone? Like, is
Yeah.
that one
I
of
kind
those?
I kind of get the feeling that there's one phone in the hotel and it's at the front desk.
And
So,
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, go call, and then they tapped out Morse code.
yeah.
'Cause-
Telegram.
Or tell
yes.
beautiful, as I should, right? So, um, Van Hopper is like, okay, we need to get down to go on an earlier train because I need to leave and I hate hanging about, and they finished breakfast early. So apparently that's the only logical thing, is to just leave earlier because it's not like you already paid for a ticket, I guess.
Right.
So she's like, yeah, I'll go check to see if we can get an earlier train. And then and then she sprints to Maxim's room, just directly full runs. And she's like, yeah, totally. Door barely shuts and she's gone.
But remember at the very beginning, the butterflies, and when you would do something crazy like run to a guy's room to
Mhm.
profess your undying love?
Yeah, it made sense. It was nice.
Those were nice times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I've been with my boyfriend since I was 14 and he was like 16, so
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you only
like-
had one. We only had one chance, and apparently you blew it.
yeah. I was in like high school, so there's not really as much of like romantic moments.
Right, it's more awkward and silly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So sure, totally get that. But yeah, so she busts into this hotel room and he's like, hold on, let me get changed and we'll come up, we'll talk. And I was like, oh, cool. He's going to come up with a plan. Maybe he's going to like hire her on. I don't know what he's going to do. Because at this point, I was so far into the past that I forgot that they were actually married at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
And
yeah.
I was like, okay, like he's going to come up with something. And then he's like, hey, they go down to dinner or breakfast and she's like, I already ate, but like I gotta hurry up. And he's like, would you rather go to New York or go to Manderley? And she's like, this isn't fair. This is not a fair question to ask me. And he's like, just like tell me, which would you rather do? And then like just proposes. Just is like, hey, let's just like get married and then you can just go to Manderley instead. I was like, oh, okay. Sure.
Couldn't she have done that without getting married? They could have dated a little longer.
Well, not in the 1800s.
Yeah, not in whatever time period this
yeah,
is, because,
that's right.
like,
She has to go live there. That would be improper.
yeah, it'll ruin her reputation.
Yeah.
Oh, and what a reputation.
Yeah, truly. People are still not sure she's, like, the servant or what she is, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. And, like, instead of thinking about how much she loves him, she's like, oh, I'd be the lady of Manderley. Like, she also, like, throws in that she loves him, but mostly she's thinking about being the lady of Manderley and being like, oh, I get to wake up and have, like, she's, like, totally romanticizing her life, as, you know, we all do if we get offered to marry a rich man, I guess. It's like, your first thing's gonna be like, oh, this beautiful mansion that I get to live in.
Well, it also says quite a few times that when she was a little girl, she bought the postcard of Manderley and, like, dreamed about it so much. So, yeah, if someone offers you to go and live in the postcard from your childhood,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, someone walks up, hey, do you want this winning lottery ticket? I'm not like, no, thank you.
No.
I actually like not being able to pay my bills, so.
Yeah, 90 pounds is plenty.
Yeah. Credit card debt, I know her. Thank you, but no thank you. I actually really enjoy living in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, but, you know, I'm okay. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
You mean I get a Ferrari with it? I just simply couldn't.
I guess that she's not getting, like, the murder vibes from him, right?
Yeah.
So
She isn't picking up what he is very much putting down, which is, like, 8,000 red flags.
he only, like, almost drove her off a cliff one time.
Yeah, one time. It only happened once, so she's
He was
just like
so sad. He was just so sad.
so sad, so hurt. And she's the only one that could heal him.
Yeah. It's the magic of youth.
Yeah, apparently. And then, like, he keeps going and being like, yeah, I know you're, like, a child, but, you know. He's like, there's nothing I like more than a 21-year-old. And then she's like, only if I was 36 and dressed in black satin. He goes, never. And I'm like, okay, so she's going to get murdered at 35. It's canon. It's said right here, and it's right in the writing.
Yeah, when she said, like, oh, I can't wait till I'm 36. I'm like, girl, slow down. So, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I read that, I'm like, is there any 21-year-old that's actually like, oh yeah, I would love to be 36 right now? Like, all of us are like, no, please, no.
No one wants to be 36. No one.
To me, I'm like, once you hit
I'm only
like
34. Shut up.
In my head, it's like you hit your 30s and, like, suddenly you're, like, real adult card. But I thought that would happen as you turned 18. You know, when I was a child, I was like, oh, I'll be 18. And then, you know, they just tell me I'm an adult and I can do adult things. And then I turned 18 and I was like, whoa, no. And now I'm, like, 23 and I'm still like, yeah, no. Like, I may be an adult and, like, pay rent, but, like, there's still adults. I still haven't figured out how to change my driver's license address yet. So
take it slow. You don't want that 36-year-old black satin dress.
No.
I mean, you do. It'd be nice to get there, but not extra fast.
Yeah, it'd be nice not to die at 35, which is what I'm worried for.
I mean, ideal, yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Very Bookish podcast. We discuss mortality and murder. New tagline, updated today. So, you know, our main character's like, oh, he's just trying to be nice by proposing. And he's like, yeah, no, this wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. I know we were only 2 weeks, like, known each other for 2 weeks, but totally didn't just think about this right now. And I'm like, you filthy, filthy liar. Like, there's no way you were like, oh, the day I met her and laid eyes on her, even though my ex-wife just died. I think we're gonna get married. Like, you, no way.
I pictured, yes.
No. Yeah, I guess you would.
It's like, yes, of course.
There's parts where I was like, oh, it's a Darcy moment. And then he'd speak and I'd be like, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 42, but if I was to look at somebody half my age, what's half my age, Jen? 11?
Something like
nope.
that.
20, 17? I don't know.
16.
16. I would not be like, I'm going to marry you. It just... It's creepy. It's
I mean,
weird.
even if I looked at a 21-year-old or a 23-year-old, no offense.
None taken. I look at 20-year-olds and I'm like,
it's so. I just wouldn't think to marry a 20-year-old.
no.
It's just so
No,
young. Like,
yeah.
and imagine being older. I don't know. I guess like eventually you're like, look at that young elastic skin.
Well,
I assume.
we're also women, so
Yeah.
men
And
men think a little bit differently.
yeah. But I feel like, maybe it's because I mean, maybe it's because I'm interested in men, but like I feel like the maturity level of even men my own age, I'm like, I gotta go at least a year above because, like, when they're my age, I'm like, it's like talking to an infant sometimes, right? Like, I'm like, come on, no.
I'm agreeing, but I married a man 4 years younger than me, so. All
right, so tell us how it feels because you're the only one that's got experience.
I have 2 actual kids, 1 on the way, and a 4th man-child. 4 kids.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I was gonna say congratulations, and then he said man-child, and I'm like, I feel like I missed my window.
Yeah.
I'm still at the point where people tell me they're pregnant, and I'm not sure if I can say congratulations or say I'm so sorry yet. Like, I'm still at that point in my life. So, like, every time people are like, yeah, we're like having a child, I'm like, I gotta think here.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. My reaction's incoming, okay? Like,
my reaction is still usually when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'm pregnant," I'm like, "Is that good news or bad news?"
yeah.
And I will react accordingly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But which location should I drive you? To a doctor's office or the planned of parenthood?
I guess it's always a doctor's office. It's like, I'll take you somewhere with a doctor.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life.
Good luck. Anyways. Yeah.
Anyways, my point is, he's creepy and probably getting married to a child is a weird choice to me.
Yeah. I had to keep reminding myself that she was 21 because there's points in this where it's like she feels like she's 16.
I was thinking she had like 18-ish vibes, like brand new to the world.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just like her super sheltered upbringing, but like she gives me the vibes that like she was probably homeschooled. Not that like there's never mind, I'm not even gonna finish that sentence.
We know.
Yeah. She gives me the vibes that like she just never saw the world and she was her only friend because I don't think she has any siblings or anything. So yeah, I was getting much of those vibes because I don't know. She's like, oh, this man actually sees that I'm in a person. I'm in love with him now.
Yeah, she seems young and easy to trick.
Yeah. Yeah. She'd be the one that gets kidnapped first in a horror movie.
It's almost like she's getting kidnapped now.
Right? Like she doesn't have a parent to look out for her. Van Hopper's just kind of like, well, you're marrying above your station. Anyways, I guess I'll just carry on.
You'd think she would have been happier about that.
Yeah.
Because, like, she knows her, so maybe she could get an invite to Manderley.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, she ruined that real quick. I don't know if it's because, like, we don't hear anything about a Mr. Van Hopper. So, like, is she widowed? Is she trying to find her next partner?
She has a daughter that she's going to see.
So.
Yeah. But I'm like, she could be widowed.
Yeah, must be.
You know? So, I don't know. Weird. We also know that she's not very old because she's like, I'm barely old enough to be your mother. So she could be like De Winter's age and was like crossing her fingers that maybe she would become Mrs. De Winter.
I don't know. When she said that,
very old.
Yeah, I pictured her being super old and being like, I'm barely old enough to be your mother.
I pictured her in like
super old.
I pictured like her in her 50s. I don't know. Maybe just like old enough to definitely been able to be her mother, but like also young enough to be like, oh, I'm just young and spry and full of life. You know what I mean?
Definitely pictured it old, like 70.
Oh, fair enough. That's a fair assumption.
Who knows? Who knows?
This author does like to not give you any detail about the characters, but also like somehow give them a great character arc. So I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the whole way this book is written. It's said constantly about Rebecca, but
Mm-hmm.
just so much atmosphere. It punches you in the face.
Yeah,
And I love a good face punching.
absolutely. I agreed, and then I was
Noted.
like, I agree in this context, but like at some point, someone's gonna clip that and be like, "Nice."
Yeah.
Love that for me. It's great, cool. Love that.
One time, totally off, but one time, one of my friends, I said, "What would you do if I came to your house and I put a pie in your face?" And she's like, I would think that was hilarious. That'd be so funny. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, do it. Like one day, just come to my house. Just full pie right in my face. It'd be so funny. I could never do that to anyone.
Do it.
Yeah.
I went to a restaurant for my like 13th birthday, I think. And instead of like doing like the normal birthday thing, they pied you in the face.
Oh my gosh. That is pretty much a 13-year-old's worst nightmare.
I
That is my worst nightmare, but
I was like, cool.
like...
But I also was, to me, that was perfect because I didn't have to say anything when people wished me happy birthday because I didn't have to give a reaction. Like the attention was on me, but it was allowed that I didn't do anything about it. So that was ideal for me, truly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a kid that like cared about my image too much. So it's not like I was wearing makeup or anything to like be bothered that I just was pied directly into my face.
Oh my gosh.
So it was perfect. Like had they done that later in life, that would have been too far. I think that was like the year that was like the last acceptable time that could have happened.
Yeah, for the record, I'd be so mad.
All right, I'll scratch that off the list of birthday surprises.
Yes, please do.
I feel like I'd be mad now just because I have wavy hair, and the idea of trying to then wash my hair in a restaurant bathroom would just be my nightmare. So then he keeps making comments about her being young this entire time that he's proposing, essentially. And she's still trying to like think over this marriage. And she's like, I get to be lady of the house. It's gonna be great. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Like, we already kind of talked about that, but you know, that's the part where this is happening. And then also she's like, oh, weird, he didn't say that he's in love, but like, you know, I'm sure it's just like because things are going so fast. I'm like, red flag number 3. Like, terrifying. And then in my notes I said, this dude is kind of a walking red flag, which, yes. And then while she's getting proposed to, she keeps thinking about his first wife. I'm like, okay, like that's a thing that we're having to deal with.
Yeah, she's gonna think about her a lot, and that's where a lot of the bi representation comes through in the what's it called when you're like the self insert character for Du Maurier.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot of like commenting on her scent and her lip color and her clothes and her body and her skin.
Ooh, I'm excited to read into that too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then my next note is, oh my god, she ripped out Rebecca's dedication, threw it in the garbage, and then burned it. She started a fire in this hotel. A small fire.
That was extreme.
Yeah. Which
plus, that's not her. That's not your book.
Yeah.
That's Max's books and Max's dedication.
They're gonna get married, so
I guess it doesn't matter. Who needs memories or family relations when you have a wife?
Yeah.
This is the part where I was like, she definitely burned the house down.
Yeah, well, she starts fires.
Symbolism. Foreshadowing.
Yes.
Van Hopper is all salty that she didn't say anything. But, like, why would she say anything? Because it's literally her employer. Like, there's no... You don't confide in your boss about your personal life much, usually.
And Van Hopper is the worst, so...
Yeah. She's like a toxic boss. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, so on Tuesday, this happened in my life. Um, and then she kind of implies that like uh that our main character and Maxim were like doing the dirty or something. Like she's like, so you must have been doing something that you weren't supposed to and sneaking around because why would he be marrying you and only knowing you for 2 weeks? And I was like, well, well,
I
Yeah.
guess it's the past that's not allowed. And clearly, me and this main character have different personalities because I would have been like, "Yeah, we've been," but I would have gotten really crude for her. She'd be like, she would regret everything she'd said.
yeah, I
but-
regret even asking her the question.
Yeah.
And then she also is like really trying to like sow doubt in right now. It's like you're not gonna be able to be like the mistress of Manderley. Like the only reason he's marrying you is because you can't be alone. And then like just mic drops and leaves it there. And I was like, the worst
I
part
mean-
is it's probably true.
I was gonna say,
I
how
mean,
wrong
yeah.
is she though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
just saying what we're all
pretty-
thinking.
Pretty much. But then also, bye, Van Hopper.
Yeah.
See you later. Go to
See ya.
Manderley.
She went from making 90 pounds a year to making like 90,000 pounds a year. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Peace.
Yeah. So then we are on to chapter 7, and at that point, they have now been married for 7 weeks, and she's going to Manderley. Also, the thing is that he specifically was like, "Hey, I don't want to have this big extravagant wedding. I've already done that, so let's just like not." So they didn't, even though she kind of wanted one.
Yeah, like she hasn't had anything, so
Yeah,
come on.
It's not like her invite list was going to be long. Like he
No.
could have bought her a dress.
Yeah.
right. They could have like eloped or something. Like she could have at least gotten to dress up and had like a wedding day, but I guess not.
Well, I mean, who knows? We didn't even get to see it.
Yeah, that's
Huh.
fair. Maybe they had
It
a
sounded
wedding day.
very courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like that's some people's dream and that's fine, but like it wasn't her dream. So
No.
So our girl is absolutely terrified of going to Manderley. They're like pulling up and she's like, "Oh, can we postpone this? How do I get out of this? I don't want to be here. I'm terrified." And like I get that. Like she has no formal training on how to be like a mistress of a home. So like of course you're going to be absolutely terrified.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, all of her clothes feel cheap and
Mhm.
wrong. And yeah, you know how you can go into a situation feeling really confident,
Mhm.
and then something happens and you're just like knocked right down.
Yeah.
I could just feel her tension. And having the entire staff
Mhm.
standing outside waiting for you,
Ugh.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna want a warning.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like warning her like seconds before things happen too, which is the worst. The absolute worst.
Yeah.
So after going on the biggest driveway ever, they finally make it, and you know, the whole staff's there meeting them. Honestly, like we meet Mrs. Danvers, and she's basically just terrible to our main character here because she's like, but she was Rebecca's personal maid, and then you know, for some reason, uh Maxim was like, "Oh, I'll keep her on, and she'll just still be the maid," and that just wasn't a great idea.
No. Plus, she's terrifying. She's like a skeleton monster.
Yeah,
Like, oh my gosh.
super
I love her so
potent.
much.
She's just this dark shadow lurking over everything.
Yeah, super
Ugh.
judgy.
White skin with like collapsed eye sockets. Just
Mhm.
Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah.
no smiles allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way she's described is very upsetting.
I know. I'm like, okay, I also would not want to be there after that. Filing
No.
for divorce immediately. Like,
Yeah.
I think like it never made sense to me that she wasn't like, could we get rid of that one? Because
Yeah.
he even says like we can get rid of her, and I would have said yes, please,
yeah.
Yes, please.
immediately.
I'm
Yeah.
having nightmares.
Because it's like everybody else, while they're like not Like, she's the only one that's like mean directly to her face. You know, everyone else is like tries to be pretty nice and then kind of like laughs behind her back. Well, she thinks they laugh behind her back. It never really so far has said that they're actually laughing about her or that they're even laughing. She just thinks they judge her behind her back. So the rest of them seem fine so far,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really her that is honestly the person I would immediately get rid of.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So now they're sitting in a little library. Maxim is reading through her letters, and they have not given her anything to do. So, like, she doesn't have a hobby. She's basically just waited on Van Hopper her entire life. And so she just kind of has to sit there while he's reading through his letters. And, like, she doesn't get to read a book. She's petting this little cute little Cocker Spaniel. But, like, besides that, like, our girl's gonna have to find a hobby and have to find it fast for how many letters he seems to get in a day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of feel bad.
I recommend gardening.
Yeah, gardening would be nice.
Yeah.
There's lots of flowers there. So
Yeah. Or reading. I don't know. There apparently he has an extensive library.
How about swimming?
Swimming would be nice.
Mhm.
Like, she just needs something. She needs her own little thing because, you know, even knitting, cross stitch, I don't know. Pick up something. Like, it's time. It's time. So then Mrs. Danvers comes down, or someone comes down to tell her that Mrs. Danvers is going to show her to her room, which I thought this meant that they had separate bedrooms. And I was like, oh, but for some reason, it's her room that he sleeps in. So I don't know if he has his own bedroom or what that's supposed to mean.
There are so many rooms.
Yeah. Or I don't know if it's her room because her, like, office is attached to it or what. I don't really understand. I'm a little confused.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone will know on the internet and then just let me know. So this is where we find out that apparently Maxim moved his bedroom from the other wing of the house that he shared with Rebecca to make them have their own very new bedroom that doesn't face the ocean. And Mrs. Danvers said that Maxim told her that our main character specifically requested to not see the ocean and be moved to this wing. And we're all like, oh, so he's using her as a scapegoat already. 7 weeks into marriage.
Also, he's the master of the house. He could just say it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he doesn't really need a reason.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or do we think that, you know, do we think Maxim actually gave a reason? Or do we think that Mrs. Danvers is just trying to stir the pot?
That's
probably
probably
stirring.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm uncertain, but those are our two options.
And our main character seemed kind of offended that
Mhm.
they would go into a new wing, but
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to be in Dead Wife Wing anyways.
Yeah,
No.
so I know, but she keeps being like, well, if that room's better, I want to be in that one. But, like, she just won't see our guy, like, she won't see Maxim as a person who has trauma, and she's kind of like, oh, he'll figure it out, like, we'll just go stay in that room, which he constantly remembers every single aspect of it being his dead wife's, but, you know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
meanwhile, she's already like kind of feeling haunted by Rebecca. She's
Yeah.
ripping up, you know, her signature and burning it, and
Mhm.
and why would she even want that? It makes no sense.
I don't know. But, like, she says something about, like, this room being, like, the second class room because she's a second class person. And I'm like, I don't think it was that deep. Like, I don't
No.
think.
You already got a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're in a
It's okay.
mansion. So stop complaining. You went from 90 pounds a year to, like, now you never have to dream of working. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So then this is the part where Mrs. Danvers says something about our main character not having her own personal maid and her being like, ugh, I have to hire a maid for you. And then I guess our main character tries to, like, soothe everything over and be like, oh, you know, whatever you did for Rebecca is fine. Just keep doing the same thing. And then this makes Danvers even more upset because I guess she liked that Rebecca was overbearing for some reason. So
She was a
Yeah.
strong, independent woman with a very strong personality.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It was weird to me because like, who likes being micromanaged? Because it's not me.
No.
Yeah.
After Mrs. Danvers leaves them alone, Maxim starts showing her around Bannerly, but like not really well, just kind of just walking around. So she still doesn't know where anything is. Like she says, like she felt like she was on a tour instead of like being shown her home, which
Hmm.
I feel like that's hard because if you live in this great estate, wouldn't you always feel like you were living on a tour instead of living in a home? Because I
Well,
would.
especially because they give tours
Mm-hmm.
of the house to the
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
That's
Wouldn't I would be so rehearsed in my head. Like anytime I'd guessed over, it'd be like, and when you look to the left, like
yeah, yeah.
And then, so I'm always jumping ahead a
You're
little
fine.
bit, but the I don't understand why she seems to think that it was expected of her to have the whole place memorized. Like when she's trying to
I
get
don't
to
know.
the drawing room
Yeah.
and she can't get there. Like, no, there's 500 rooms in this place.
Yeah, I
You're
don't know.
fine.
Yeah, just ask someone. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Like when people come to my house, they'll be like, "Where's your washroom?" I'm like, it's the room with the toilet in it. You'll find it. There's only 3 rooms. At Manderley, yeah, no, you're gonna need a little map. You,
See, I just sarcastically always go when someone asks me where the bathroom is and go, I always go, we don't have one of those. We just poop in the yard.
yeah.
There's that too.
So at least yours is like mildly helpful.
Yeah.
Mine's
Open
just
doors.
yeah, just hope you don't walk in on someone.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I guess you don't know us, but we're always naked. So it's
There's a good chance. No, and by we, she means her and her family.
yes.
Not we.
You just as soon as guests show up, you're like, all right, strip down.
little known fact about Best Book Club.
Yeah. It's a naked podcast.
And if you listen, you have to be in the nude. It's the only proper way.
That's a new rule.
Read one book in hand. That's the only item of clothing you're allowed. Figure it out. So then we are on to chapter 8. Apparently, Maxim wakes up super early, and it's like 9 a.m. She's rolling out of bed. He's already started writing letters and reading newspaper, and she's like going down. First of all, he didn't wake her up at all. He was like, "Oh, let her sleep," but like also she doesn't know where anything is, so
Mhm.
she is just like, "Okay, I guess I'll mosey my way down to breakfast," in which they made a like buffet style breakfast for 2 people.
Yeah. It was insane.
Yeah. And she asked the question we're all thinking of, what do they do with all the food that's not eaten?
Mhm.
Because, like, do the servants get to eat it? I hope.
I would hope
They
so.
better.
Yeah. Otherwise, they have to
Yeah.
throw it away. Like, first of all, how would they know that the servants ate it? Like, I think they have to.
They have
Right?
to.
It's way too much food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with him letting her sleep in, I mean, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
But like he must know that the servants are gonna look down on that.
I know.
So that was just rude of him.
Well, it's like I like to sleep in. I'm not a morning person, but like if I'm in a place where I've never been before, and that place is a mansion, I would not be like, oh yeah, let me sleep in till 9. I'll figure out the way. Like she could have gotten lost for an hour, not made it down to breakfast. Like,
She doesn't have much else to do.
well, it's like, does she know that they're having breakfast in the breakfast hall? Like, would she have gone to the kitchen nook, assuming that that's where? Like, figure how many places she must have tried to find where they
Mhm.
were eating before she finally got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, she can
Not
cancel her
knowing
gym
where to go.
membership.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's gonna get all of her steps in trying to figure out her way around her own home now.
Yes.
So then, while they're eating, Maxim springs it on to her that his grandmother, I think, is going to be coming over to meet her specifically. It's like, yeah, she's gonna be here at noon, and like, bear in mind, it's like 9. And so now she's got 3 hours to prepare and like get clothes that she doesn't have.
Was it his grandmother or his sister?
I was trying to figure that out because he says
Yes,
something about his
me
sister and his
too.
grandmother, but like his grandmother was the last one mentioned. So I was
Yeah.
assuming that it was his grandmother, but like the way that it's said, it could be his grandmother or it could be his sister, and I can't tell which it is.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so
hoping
I don't
Could be
remember
both.
could be both.
Yeah.
where this stops, but I remember thinking the same thing and going back to read.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I thought the grandma was coming, but this is definitely the sister, and I was
Oh.
confused.
So it is the
So
sister. Yeah, we haven't
That's
got.
why I
yeah.
was thinking it was the sister.
Yeah.
It's the only one I remember, really.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure, so I wrote in my notes that I thought it was the grandmother, but I mean, well, I was gonna find out next chapter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So also she can't figure out the routine of the morning at all, and then like Maxim just keeps leaving her alone all the time, and this is the point where I was like, he's basically treating her like Rebecca in my head, because he's like, oh, you'll do your own thing, which is what Rebecca did, and she went to her morning room because apparently you have a room specifically for the morning when you're rich. And he's just not giving her any direction or giving her any reason to like fill her day or training her on any of the things that she needs to do. Like this felt like very much one of those jobs where they're like, could you start working tomorrow, and also you get trained for 20 minutes, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets lost and finally has to ask for help because, she didn't want to ask for help, as, Jen kind of mentioned, for who knows what reason. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know.
She was just kind of very young. And I think she just kind of thought that she was supposed to know what the heck she was doing.
Yeah.
But no, you don't figure it out for so long. I still barely know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Right.
Retweet. Yeah. And then she finally makes her way to the morning room, realizes she doesn't have a single person to write. She doesn't know anyone, and decides to write Van Hopper. Like, I would have just drawn a picture or something. I would not, start writing Van Hopper, of all people.
I would have written her the most braggy letter of all time. I'd be
Yeah.
like, and here's my step-by-step tour of Manderley for you in this letter.
Yep.
I had so much breakfast.
Literally, though, I would have been like, wow, I have 18 dresses that I just kept having to send back because, they just weren't quite to my adjustments.
Yeah.
Although, meanwhile, in real life, Maxim got her no clothes.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I probably should have bought you clothes before we went here. Like, yeah, no, yeah, you definitely should have. Like, what?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like, and she's like, oh, I'm not like that worried about clothes. He's like, oh, yeah, you're not like other girls. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
World's worst trope.
Literally. I was like, yeah, no, we can't. Like, no one wants to show up to a formal event wearing khakis. What?
Yeah.
I mean, want to? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, like, emotionally,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the chapters we've got for this week. So we will be continuing on next week. But where can all the people of the internet find you guys and your podcast?
Well, you can find us at best_book club anywhere. We are mostly on Instagram, though. Don't even bother with our Twitter because, yeah,
I'm bad at it.
we were really, really bad at it. But Instagram's good. Or you can send us an email at best_book club@outlook.com.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. And we will catch you all in the next episode. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. You can find me at Barely Bookish on literally everything. I have everything. So, if you want to follow me, check me out over there. Also, happy Nano for everyone who's writing this month. I'm trying to run quite a few writing sprints over on Twitch, so if you want to hop in, come say hi. I'm at Barely Bookish on Twitch. I don't really have a set plan for those, so be sure to follow and then it'll alert you when I go live. I just try and do them whenever I have a chance, so please check that out and come hang out because it's a lot of fun. Also, the Barely Book Club just picked our new book, so we are going to be talking about These Hollow Vows. If you haven't read it yet and you want to come hang out, go check us out on barelybookish.com/connect, and you can find a link to the book club on there and join us because we will be starting our reading this week and we discuss on Saturdays. So come hang out. It's a lot of fun. But I don't really have any announcements this week, so I just hope you guys have a great week. Our theme song was created by Raphael Crux. Our logo was designed by my little sibling Sarah. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!